Howdy, 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 all you cool cats and kittens. Welcome back to Stardew Valley Tools Aren't Real Edition. I'm Jared, he's Berkeley, and we're escaping from our lives by playing a game on the internet.
Yes, isn't that what games are all about?
It surely is.
Wait,
For
hold on.
me.
That was maybe too bold of a stance to take. I want to walk that back. That is, we like games and we play them.
We
I can
play
commit
games.
to that.
We do that.
Although my Twitch username is Does Berkeley Game, so maybe that's still up for debate.
Well, the answer is clearly yes, because here you are doing it.
Well, that's good to be validated. There's a lot of gatekeepers in the gamer community,
True.
and I don't interact with them.
No, gatekeeping is lame. Everywhere
Don't do
except actual gates that must be guarded for valid reasons.
If you're a gatekeeper, you're not a real fan.
That's right.
How do you like that? How does it feel? See?
Name four of the best gatekeeping albums. I bet you can't.
All right. Well, welcome everybody. If this is your first time joining us, we are beating Stardew Valley without using any tools. And I was just looking in my inventory for a tool because I've been playing in my personal save too much, so I forgot the rules. But never fear, our tools are locked away safe in a chest where they cannot hurt us.
It's true. It's the most convenient way to make sure that you don't break the rules.
So we have completed 3 rooms of the community center. We're doing very well on the pantry now that we can plant crops. Crafts room has a couple things left, and the bulletin board has a few things left. So the last time I calculated, we were about 80% done with the community center, which is very, very exciting. And
We're on our
that's all I
way.
have to say about that. We're on our way. Do you remember that song from Brother Bear about being on the way?
Oh man.
I'm not gonna sing it, but it's a good one.
Okay, so I lived in Utah when I saw Brother Bear.
You lived in Utah?
Yeah, I lived in
I
Utah. I
didn't
lived
know
in
that.
Springville
What?
for 2.5 years.
How did I not know that?
Yeah.
What the heck?
I was like 5, but yeah.
What? I thought you lived in Washington then.
Nope. I lived in Utah before I met you. Yeah. I lived in Washington in the between times after I met you. And that's where
Yeah.
your Etch-a-Sketch was.
Well, I've got the etch sketch now, so we're all good.
We are square in more than one sense.
Oh,
I just wasted 2 bombs.
oh,
I'm
yeah,
ashamed
that
of
is a
myself.
pretty square thing to do.
Speaking of shame, I had an experience this past week that made me feel better about something that I feel ashamed of, which is that I don't really take care of my body very much. Like, I do the basics. I walk a bit back and forth up to campus to go to my classes. I do like good hygiene, but I don't really exercise. And as a younger guy, as a teenager, I exercised a ton, like all the time. I think I was at 4% body fat for a while, which is
Goodness.
ridiculous and probably not healthy. And when I became an adult, I struggled with a series of crises, and throughout that time I stopped exercising, and now I'm trying to get a degree, and I just don't really make it a priority. So I find myself sitting a lot, and I don't feel good about it. And as I've gotten older, it's led to like back pain and like knee pain and stuff where I'm just not really using my body. And I've always thought that it would be like a big effort to try to fix that part of my life. But I remembered something that my dad told me a long time ago, and he told me that when he started getting back pain, he did a specific type of stretch and that stretch really helped him. So I thought, okay, well, maybe, I can spend like 5 minutes a day just stretching, and that can help me not be in so much pain. And not only did it help with my pain in like a couple of days to the point where I feel almost normal again, but it really helped my mental health. And it didn't take a whole lot, A 5-minute commitment is not bad. I don't have to do it at any specific time. I can do it whenever I have 5 minutes. And it just, like, it's made my mental health better. It's made me feel like I'm putting effort in, which is a big deal to me. Like I've done something. It's been a great experience. So if you're struggling with that too, maybe try doing some stretches. It doesn't take a lot, and it might really help you. I don't know.
Yeah,
I'm
that's
just a guy on
awesome.
the
Thanks for
internet.
sharing that. Guy on the internet with experience.
With experience on the internet.
Yeah, thanks for sharing that. I also did cross country with you. You might remember.
I do.
One
I have
can
a
say that
vague
was a big
memory.
part of our lives. And yeah, thinking about exercising as an adult, I remember what it was like exercising as a teenager, where I was running like almost 2 hours a day, plus like all the time to get ready and all the time to get clean afterwards. It was like probably about 3 hours of my day every single day was
Yep.
dedicated to cross country.
Yep.
And that's just not even remotely realistic for me to do today. And so it's really easy to fall into the trap of thinking, well, I can't be like I was then, so why try? So that's awesome to hear your experience of just doing a little bit of stretching, because you can do that wherever you are. Maybe not at work, maybe not at a formal dinner, but pretty much everywhere else you can just stretch when you need to.
Yeah.
And
Maybe
doesn't
not
take a
on
lot.
like a formal White House tour when you're meeting the president,
Yeah, before or after meeting the president, then it's fine.
but
Just
not
not during. They might get the wrong idea.
That's true. They might think they're being seduced. Who knows? They are politicians.
Depends on how
after
good
all.
you are at stretching. Do you remember the book that I had at my house called Deep Thoughts? I had a few of them.
Oh man, that sounds really fun and funny to read, because I would like to, like, I don't know. Do you remember the Rhett and Link thoughtful guy rap?
Oh yeah.
That's immediately, I'm picturing like Rhett holding up Deep Thoughts. Anyways, I don't remember this, but
Okay,
that sounds cool.
that's a fair comparison. So it started as an SNL skit where they would say things that were supposed to sound deep, but absolutely were not. Um, and then my parents just got a book of them for some reason. There was one that was saying that a good gift for the president would be a chocolate gun, but since he's really busy, you'd probably have to run up to him real fast and hand it to him.
Oh no.
So
That's yeah.
that's what I'm thinking of now.
That's too good. And please don't try that. If you're
Don't
if you're
try that.
following along with us at home, we don't condone actually doing that.
If you have a chocolate gun to give the president, walk slowly and deliberately.
And you might consider mailing it to him. If it's safe for him to have, they might give it to him.
Yeah.
I just there's a lot of people, and I know that the Secret Service is supposed to be good at their jobs, but they're also supposed to not engage in illegal activities like prostitution. And they do that, so
Wait, what? I didn't hear about that.
oh yeah, this was during Obama's presidency. They went to like some trip in Brazil, and a bunch of them got busted for hiring prostitutes, and I think it's been a problem for a long time.
Jeez, that's horrible.
Yeah. True. Another Jared Campbell bummer.
Yeah. Well, we had a lot to talk about. We made a list beforehand, but I want to break some news to the world first. Maybe this isn't news. I think it's news. It's new to me. So before the stream, Jared asked me about Leo, the boy who lives on Ginger Island. and I
Yeah.
told him I didn't know anything about Leo. So I looked up Leo on the wiki, and he just straight up looks like Marnie. And so I'm here to tell everyone my new theory is that Leo is Marnie and Lewis's son, who they
Oh,
abandoned on
they
the
like
island.
shut him away. Like that's so Dickensian.
I don't know what that means, but I agree.
So Charles Dickens has so he's a Victorian era English author, and he wrote a lot of books about poor people who were secretly the children of much wealthier people and had been shut away for social standing reasons. And that's probably not entirely accurate because I haven't listened to one of the Dickens novels in a long time, but that's what I remember from being a young boy, just like Leo. Assuming Leo is a boy, I'm not sure.
Yes, I believe Leo is a boy.
Okay.
Yeah, so sorry for the bummer, people. If that's too sad, feel free to reject my theory. I don't have any evidence other than looking at his picture for a second.
Well, we know that Mayor Lewis has underwear sitting in Marnie's house.
Oh, yeah. Yeah,
We
that's good evidence.
we
We know they're dating,
we
and
know.
that he doesn't want people to know they're dating.
Yeah.
That's canonical.
Yep. So, so I think the question becomes why? What's his motive, right? Could it be
Well, he
that
tells her that if people know that they're in love, that he'll lose his authority, like he'll lose respect in the town, and he won't be as good of a mayor, which is just so nonsensical.
so we have a motive. We have evidence that there's a relationship. I think this case is getting stronger by the minute.
Yeah, it is sad though. So maybe not.
You can choose to ignore it, but all my homies hate Mayor Lewis.
That's true. Almost as much as we hate tools.
Also, Slingshot is so much easier to use with the mouse. I can literally just hover over whatever I want to shoot and then release the button and it shoots
Yeah,
it.
I always forget about the slingshot because the first time I tried to use it, I was on mobile, and it is not good at all on mobile.
No.
And it sounds like you had similar experiences with your controller.
Yes, it was extremely difficult. Or I'm bad. Or I am extremely bad.
All you gotta do is get good.
That's a true fact. So I'm getting a lot of mushrooms.
Okay, it
And
is almost one.
oh no. And I'm losing track of time. I need to cut this box in case there's hardwood in it. There's not.
Okay.
Well, that was a waste. I will be probably getting mugged tonight, if I'm being
Okay.
real. I do have a warp totem. Warp directly to
Oh.
your house. What?
Yeah,
Saved
do
by
it.
the bell.
Send.
That didn't take me directly to my house. I still might die.
Oh
I was
no.
expecting to end up like on the doorstep of my house. Okay, I made it. Wow.
Nice.
So lucky that I found that warp totem in the mine.
Hey, during the night, the doctor gave birth to a baby pig.
The doctor gave
That's
birth to a
exciting.
baby pig.
Yeah.
What kind
We
of
must have named a pig the doctor.
Oh, okay. I was like the
Oh, sorry. Yeah, the and doctor are capitalized. That's important.
okay.
Important context. Can I name the baby pig River?
Oh, yes. Yeah. Wait.
Oh, too late.
Okay.
Hit enter.
Well, um can we do you remember the that's the blonde lady that was like he had a relationship with?
Did you forget who River Song is?
Yeah, probably. It's been
Oh man.
how long has it been? It's been a long time.
It's been 10 years.
I haven't watched that show since I moved.
Yeah, that was 10 years then.
Is this what is this, a cauliflower? Is this a cauliflower ready?
There will be a little plus sign when you hover over it if it is ready, and
Oh.
it is ready.
Very cool. Look, I harvested something. I'll let you do the other one because I don't want to take away your farming XP. It is a
Okay.
gold star cauliflower. I'm assuming we're saving it.
I don't think we need to. Oh, have we not finished quality crops?
I don't know. Let's look at the thing.
Oh, we have not finished quality crops, but cauliflower is not one of the things for it.
Okay.
So
It will
I
be
think we can
sold
sell
then.
it. Okay, sorry, let me catch up on the chat. Susie Moo says that makes Leo so much more sad. I'm sorry. I recognized it as soon as I said it out loud. She also says that slingshot and cherry bombs are a great mining combo. I've always forget that you can put cherry bombs in the slingshot. That's awesome.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that was a thing. Thank you. Very
Yeah,
cool.
that's great. Megan says, by the way, Leo just washed up on the shore after a shipwreck, so his story is still sad because his family died, but he's definitely not Marnie's kid. I don't know if he's a reliable narrator. She also says you can rename animals. No, this one's just named River now.
I'm here for it. I think it's cool.
Let me
Yeah,
see.
I think like telling everyone your family's dead because you don't want people to like pity. That wouldn't work. Never mind. That was not my best thought.
Maybe this is too morbid again. Can you imagine Lewis like taking his girlfriend and son on a boat and then trying to convince the son that the boat sank? Being like, oh no, we're sinking into the bottom of the ocean. You'll have to live on this island now.
That's probably what happened. And Mayor Lewis, you ought to be ashamed of yourself.
I mean, definitely he should be ashamed of himself either way.
If you're watching
Meg-
this, you need to be extra ashamed, Mayor Lewis.
We know you are watching. He's keeping a close eye on this anti-tools movement because he's scared. Megan says, just because Leo speaks bird does not mean he's an unreliable narrator. He's a sweet little boy. I don't think that sweet little boy and unreliable narrator are mutually exclusive.
We're selling jade, right?
But, yeah, I think we are now.
Okay.
You have met Leo and I have not, so I guess we'll have to defer to your expertise. As per usual.
That's true. Megan in the chat knows what's up. And I very much don't know what's up about anything Stardew Valley related, including the controls. Do you remember that one time that I said it wouldn't let me put stuff in the chest? It's because I didn't click on the chest. I just opened my inventory.
Yeah, that's not enough.
I am very good at this game.
Okay, I feel like we do this frequently, but we do not play often enough for me to remember. So I'm just gonna have to go through the community center again and see if there's anything we can be doing to push the needle here.
Okay.
So artisan bundle, there's nothing we can do yet, but we've got all the trees planted that we need. So that is basically taken care of. We just need time. Quality crops, we need melon, pumpkin, or corn. We need 2 of those 3 things,
So that's
and we need a lot of them.
summer, right?
Summer and fall.
Okay.
So melon and corn are both in summer. So yeah, I guess summer. We can ignore pumpkin. And then the summer crops bundle, which is of course all stuff from summer. So pantry, we should be able to finish in summer. We're just waiting. Moving on to the crafts room. The construction bundle, we just need hardwood, which is very difficult. Winter foraging, we just need a snow yam. Oh, it's Sunday. I'm going to go talk to the traveling cart. I'm glad we're doing this little exercise. Oh, but I can't keep looking at the community center if I'm walking. Let me quickly just do the bulletin board. We need red cabbage, which we'll get in summer. We need a poppy, which will grow in summer, I think. We need wheat and apples for the fodder bundle, and wine and pomegranate for the enchanters bundle. So I think the biggest thing we should be working on now is trying to work towards getting a keg so that we can make wine.
Okay.
I think that's like the only thing that we're actively able to work on.
Berkeley, I just had a realization.
Yes, sir.
So hardwood, we can find it in the mines in barrels.
Mm-hmm.
Um, you know those spiral levels usually have treasure in the middle?
Uh-huh.
Those treasure boxes are usually a good place to find hardwood. Do we know what levels are spirally?
That is a great question. Does anyone in the chat happen to know? That would be
Me?
a huge benefit. Nothing that we need in the... Megan says, wait, what was the question? So we're wondering if there's a way to find out on the wiki, or if you just happen to know if there are specific levels that are like spiral shaped. Some of the levels of the mines have like a big spiral and then a bunch of boxes and barrels in the middle. And if we could figure out what levels those are, that might help us get um, hardwood faster.
Also, I just want to add, I found a weapon called Yeti Tooth that
What?
gives +4 defense, +10 crit power, but more importantly, it confirms that Yetis are real.
That is amazing.
And now I want to meet one in the game, if possible.
How to meet one, but from a distance, you know?
Yeah, that's fair. I guess it depends. Is it like Monsters Inc. Yeti, where they're kind of lovable and goofy, or is it like a like Big Trouble in Little China Yeti, which is just scary?
Just had the most stilted conversation with Maru. She said, "Do you enjoy working on the farm?" And then it gave me the option to say yes, period, or no, period. And I said yes, period. And she said, "Well, that's good, isn't it?" And that was it.
That's how yeah, that's how I talk to people as an engineer.
Mm. I was at lunch today with two other engineers, and a salesperson came and sat with us and was trying to talk to us.
Very awkward.
Yeah, because we were bad at it. Nothing wrong with him, obviously. It was us. Megan says she's not sure if they always show up, but it's almost always levels that end in 9 from what she's noticed. Okay,
69.
nice. That's tough because those are the ones that are hard for us to get to, but I guess we'll just have to suck it up.
That's okay. If we can get more staircases, it'll become easier.
Yeah,
I found a crystal fruit, which we
nice.
don't need.
That's
Woof.
true. Okay, this is another thing we talked about before the stream. I just want to give a quick plug for Andor. I know that we spend a lot of time recommending media on this stream because we love media and we love you and we want you to consume all the best media. And the best media is Andor.
That's right.
So this is, if you haven't heard of it, this is the latest Star Wars show on Disney Plus. It takes place before Rogue One, and it's about one of the characters from Rogue One, Cassian Andor. You get to see how he gets involved with the rebellion before it's even really a rebellion. You get to see some of the horrors of the Empire, and how that time between Episode 3 and Episode 4 of Star Wars went down. And the show is just really, really good. It doesn't feel like a lot of other Star Wars shows. I've like casually enjoyed the other Star Wars shows. This one feels so different. There's not any Jedi in it, at least so far. There haven't been any other characters that we know other than Cassian, and technically Mon Mothma is also in other Star Wars stuff.
True.
But the dialogue and the writing is just really good. The episodes are really well paced. There's a lot of social tension and like emotional beats that are rare for Star Wars and are just pulled off really, really well. It's just a very well crafted piece of media.
Yeah, I think it's the best Star Wars that I've ever seen, and I would include all the movies in that statement. I think that Andor is the best Star Wars currently out there. It does a really great job at portraying a realistic, like rebellion and a realistic fascist government and the types of people that it takes to do both.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a great point. It shows, yeah, shows you humans on both sides of the fence, makes them kind of sympathetic at the beginning, and then kind of amps up the pressure. Maybe some people end up a little less sympathetic than they started out.
Indeed.
Megan says that it's specifically levels 19, 59, and 99 are spirals.
Okay.
Let
me
anyone
write
in
that
the
down.
chat who's been watching Andor, let us know what you like about it. Yeah, it's Susie says that she likes it. I want to hear why. Oh, hey,
Hi.
I'll go to a different level.
Fancy meeting you here. Come here often?
So often, ever since I ran out of other things I could do.
I did find a hardwood on this trip, which is
Oh,
very
that's
cool.
awesome.
And
Ooh, Megan says that she likes the show because there's lots of hot people. Cassian and Bix at the top of the list. Susie says it's so emotionally compelling. Yes, absolutely, I agree. I've heard, so Jared was telling me that he's heard some people say that it's slow for them, which I do not get at all, and I think it's
Same.
because like a lot of Star Wars has a lot of like physical conflict, but the characters are kind of larger than life, not even very human, not very emotional. But this show is not that way. Like the emotional tension, and I think that's what you mean by emotionally compelling. The emotional tension is what really gives this show its power. One thing that I like about it that makes it different from other like rebellion stories is if you've seen Rogue One, you know the context for where Cassian's life is headed. And it's interesting seeing these very early stages where they don't even think of it as a rebellion yet. They just know that the Empire is hurting their lives and they want to fight back, but they have no hope of succeeding in any real sense. Stories like The Hunger Games, which are really good and I enjoy, you kind of go from the beginning of the rebellion all the way through to the victory, and the two sides are like roughly equal for most of the story. This show is not that way at all. It's very much like scrappy people trying to survive, trying to get their victories where they can, but they have to deal with a lot of moral grayness to get there. That makes it very compelling.
Yeah, I think that well, I think it's interesting to see. Oh, I don't want to spoil things. There's a spy master dynamic that I find very interesting. And you talked about the moral gray area, and I think that that's a huge component of what makes it feel a little bit more real to me. And I know I've already mentioned the fascist side of things, that we know that the Empire are fascists. You get to see a little bit more of the political machinery, not just on like the military side, but on the politics side and what it looks like to be stuck in that system. And I think they do a great job of portraying what that looks like. And
Yeah.
I read a book I don't remember the author, but the book is called The Rise and Fall of the Third Reich, and it was written by a reporter who was in Germany to see, as a reporter, and ended up kind of having a front row seat through the whole rise of the Nazi Party, and then left Germany for the war. I think he was actually kicked out by the Nazi Party, and at the end of the war, a huge trove of Nazi documents and letters and stuff were captured, and he got to go through and take the letters and the communications and put together this really detailed account of how fascism came to power in Germany and how it fell apart. And this movie is doing a really good, or not movie, show is doing a really good job of kind of showing, at least in my opinion, what that really looks like.
Nice. Good context there. Thanks. Okay, so yesterday in game, I mentioned that we need to start working towards a keg. During that same day, I hit level 8 farming, which means I can now craft a keg.
Wow.
So good on us. We did so good at moving towards a keg.
That's amazing.
So I'm gonna check the ingredients and see what we need to do to craft one of those. While I'm doing that, we also talked about giving some podcast recommendations. So I'm really into podcasts. I got into them because of you, actually. At the beginning of the pandemic, you recommended one, and that quickly became an addiction for me. Well, I'm checking what I need for a keg. What's your relationship with podcasts?
Oh man, love hate, to be honest. I think that they can be really great ways to learn and like spiritually and intellectually enrich yourself, but they can also be kind of a waste. And I think a lot of them are over commercialized to the point where they start to lose meaning. But there's also a lot of really great ones out there. So the trick really is kind of finding your sweet spot. And if something isn't sitting with you, try skipping ahead a couple episodes and, see if it's still feeling that way before you invest a ton of time into something that you're just not clicking with, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
That's my advice. I love listening to podcasts. I've listened to D&D podcasts. I've helped make a D&D podcast. And I've listened to a lot of history podcasts. And there are some really, really great, high quality individuals out there. And it's an easy way to keep your mind sharp, to keep learning, to keep growing, even if you're not in an environment where you're doing that naturally. So for me as a manufacturing worker, I spent 5 years on an assembly line, and the first 2 years I was learning a lot, and then I knew how to do pretty much everything, and I felt like I was going to go insane, and podcasts saved me from that.
Nice. Yeah, when I started listening to podcasts a lot, it was when I was going on walks with my daughter. I would walk her like an hour a day, plus like another 40 minutes of walking to and from school.
Wow.
Yeah, podcasts got me through that. Suzumu is also a fan of D&D podcasts, it sounds like, especially when she's cleaning or crocheting, so similar experience to yours. I have a bunch of recommendations that are of no educational value at all, so now I'm embarrassed. Do you have any specific ones that you want to recommend?
Most of them are involved in history for the most part. So Dan Carlin's Hardcore History is one that's pretty well known. It's very long format. You're looking at 4-hour to 6-hour episodes. And he doesn't keep his entire catalog up all the time. You can pay $1 for the episodes once they get taken down, just as he cycles through his catalog. But so much great secondary and primary research, source documents, all this stuff going into making an episode, and you can learn just so much in one episode of Hardcore History. So I recommend that. And then I am fascinated by the Vietnam War, partly because it's relevant again with Afghanistan and kind of what happened there. So I like to listen to a podcast that's run by a guy who was a special operations soldier during the Vietnam War, called Sogcast, and a lot of great interviews with veterans. And I don't know. The more I learn about the war, the less I like it, and the less like it's very culturally relevant, but I think America has a problem with idolizing the wrong traits of the conflicts that we've been involved in, and yeah. Anyways, so those are two. But on the D&D side, the Adventure Zone is my all-time favorite, particularly the Bureau of Balance arc. I kind of had a front row seat to that as it came out, and it's made me cry laughing more times than I can count. Just so good. I think that's all I can think of off the top of my head.
I want to mention Choose a Choice.
Oh yeah, that.
Choose a Choice is the D&D podcast that Jared and I and Megan in the chat are all on, along with a couple other friends.
Yeah, a lot of fun. Has also made me cry laughing. Yeah. I'm curious, listeners, folks in the chat, why do you like D&D podcasts? Is it the humor? Is it the actual gameplay? Is it
The story?
the story? There's so many aspects, and I think that's one of the challenging things about making a podcast like that, is that you don't really know what to emphasize, right? You don't know what your audience is really looking for, and unless you do a survey, which can be kind of weird. So
Hi, do you like me? Why?
why do you like me? Yeah. Anyways, Berkeley, so what podcasts were you thinking about?
Hey, yeah, those are some good ones. Thanks for sharing. So I'm gonna start with my junky entertainment ones. So if you like celebrity gossip, I have really enjoyed. Oh wait, Megan in the chat just gave a nice long response that I want to read. She says, in response to your question about why you like D&D podcasts, it's mostly the humor, but I do like a good story. I cried at the end of Bureau of Balance arc, ugly cried for a long time, and had to take an extra loop around the block in my car because I was crying too hard. Nice.
Yeah.
I don't remember crying that hard, but yes, I was also really touched by the end of Bureau of Balance.
We've all been there at one point too, though.
Yes.
Anyways, yeah, I can see that for sure.
Okay, so my celebrity gossip podcast that I like is called Smartless. So it is 3 hosts, Jason Bateman, Will Arnett, and Sean something.
Sean Spicer, press secretary for Donald Trump.
That's it. Sean Hayes. I haven't seen anything with Sean Hayes in it, but he's really funny on the podcast. Anyway, so 3 Hollywood celebrities. Each week, one of them picks a guest or invites a guest, and the other 2 don't know who it is. So the person who invited the guest gives like a long, glowing biography of them, and then there's this big moment of the reveal, and then they just chat for an hour. And they've had some incredible guests. Right before the 2020 election, they had Kamala Harris on.
Wow.
Usually it's like actors or entertainers. They've had Billie Eilish and her brother were on a really good episode. Jack Black, Stephen Colbert.
I gotta hear that episode. I love Jack Black.
Paul McCartney was an episode.
Wow. That's
yeah,
impressive.
they just get really, really good guests. And recently they had Joseph Biden, President Joseph Biden.
Did they call him Joseph the whole time?
I haven't listened to that episode yet. I don't know.
Okay.
But yeah, it's just fun listening to them. They've got really funny stories. They're all really entertaining, and they give some like interesting insider views of like the comedy industry. So I've learned a lot from that, especially if you listen to episodes where comedians are the guest, like Tina Fey, Stephen Colbert were good episodes for that if you're interested. And sometimes you get to learn a lot about the person. Like I really enjoyed the Aquafina episode. I didn't know a lot about her personal life, but she's got like a cool history and really cool music that I wouldn't have known about if I hadn't listened to her episode. So that's Smartless.
That sounds
Um,
really neat.
yeah, it's got zero educational value. I've listened to it less since I realized that it was just my version of consuming tabloids. But they're they're charming, charismatic guys, and their guests are really interesting too. Um, Susie says for D&D podcast, it's the story. I'm always in it for the story. However, if I don't get with the cast, I can't listen to them. My current favorite is Cast Party, a Dungeons and Dragons podcast. I'm always looking for recommendations, so thanks for sharing that one.
I think the cast chemistry matters a lot. When you get together to do something creative like that, if you don't have chemistry, it becomes difficult to
Yeah,
to to make something that everybody can invest in. And I don't know. I mean, yeah, chemistry matters, and so as a podcaster and as a podcast listener, I think that that's a really it's difficult to find, but when you do find it, it's really neat.
I agree. I have a legendary fish on my hook right now, so
Wow.
I'm fighting for my life.
Okay. I
And I'm losing. I'm losing.
I'm gonna take over for a second so you don't have to think about it.
Okay.
So more media recommendations. We'll get back to podcasts in a second. I don't know if you guys have read a lot about this or are even interested in it, but I've always heard people talk about Edward Snowden, and I'm taking an ethics course this semester, so I finally decided to break down and actually spend the time to learn about Edward Snowden and what he did, why he's seen as a hero or as a villain by some. And so I read a few books about. So I read his memoir that he wrote, and then I read a book written by a very highly respected reporter who like taught a doctorate course at MIT and had all this fancy education. And I found out why like appealing to authority is a fallacy in that process. So I started with Edward Snowden's book. It's called Permanent Record. It's written by him, as far as I understand it, and it's well written and very persuasive. And he kind of lays out his history, his background, his family background, and then talks about how he got into a career in the intelligence community and why he ended up becoming a whistleblower in his language. And it was very interesting to read about his allegations of privacy violations and domestic surveillance outside the bounds of the Constitution and what should be legal versus what is legal, and how the law has been changed to make surveillance that shouldn't be legal. It's a great book. I really recommend it if you're at all interested in Edward Snowden or the different intelligence programs that he reported on. But I think more interesting to me was reading the other book, and the other book is called How America Lost Its Secrets. And this journalist interviewed all sorts of intelligence personnel, CIA directors, analysts, foreign intelligence agents, people who used to work for the KGB or who were kind of adjacent, like lawyers or fixers in Hong Kong, where Edward Snowden went when he left the States. And his case was that Edward Snowden stole, or at least we believe, the NSA believes that he stole 1.7 million documents, but only turned over 55,000 to reporters. And he points out evidence that Edward Snowden, while he's perceived as a hero, appears to be collaborating with Russian intelligence. And kind of, it felt very much like a hit piece coming from Permanent Record, which is very positive about what Snowden has done. I made level 5 in mining. Very cool.
Nice.
I have to choose between geologist, so chance for gems to appear in pairs, or miner, +1 ore per vein.
That's hard. We've got lots of ore just sitting around not being used.
Yeah,
But we also don't. We have lots of money sitting around not being used. I would maybe go for miner because that'll help us scale up our bomb
production.
purchasing.
Fair.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay. Anyways, so I read each book and they both had very different messages. How America Lost Its Secrets ended up saying that Edward Snowden might have seen himself as a whistleblower, but in the end he was as good as a spy because of how much damage he did to the intelligence community, including constitutional surveillance that was happening abroad, and that he compromised American intelligence irreparably.
Mm.
And I'm a big nut for intelligence stuff. I think it's interesting to see how America treats people when they think the world isn't watching. But what frustrated me about that experience is that I came out of it with two completely opposing points of view from people who either were directly self-interested in protecting themselves, or whose main sources were people who had an interest in in delegitimizing Edward Snowden. And even though the author of that book had all this education and had interviewed very prestigious sources, there's no way to get an unbiased picture out of it, which I found it interesting and very frustrating. So I wanted to ask you, Berkeley, what is your perception of Edward Snowden? Do you think he's a hero or a villain or something else?
Well, you've already told me more today than I knew about him before. So I don't know if I've got a great opinion. With what he revealed about the NSA spying on Americans, it's tricky because I think that was absolutely the right thing to do. But when I tried to think about like why it was the right thing to do, it opens a big can of worms of lots of maybe uglier decisions people could make using the same principles.
Yeah.
In general, I think people are more important than organizations, and our loyalty to organizations should never be more than our loyalty to people, especially when those organizations are harming people.
Yeah.
I also think that there's very few people who have had 100% trust in the US government over the last, say, 12 years, because we can see how we've learned how fast things can change from one administration to the next.
Yeah.
So it's scary to think about government amassing as much power as it has.
Yeah. Yeah. So sorry to cut you off. Go ahead.
Yeah, there's just a lot of tricky issues at play. I don't think I have one opinion. I'm not educated enough to know.
Look at you being a well-rounded person. That's kind of the conclusion I came to as well after reading those books, is that what Snowden did to allow us the right to privacy is awesome, because he gave us the opportunity for informed consent, which is critical. Tomorrow is the flower dance, by the way.
Okay, cool. One other thing, Megan in the chat said that Jared should read Most Dangerous by Steve Sheinkin. Shankin? About the guy who published the Pentagon Papers during the Vietnam War.
Oh, okay.
I remember Megan talking about that book while she was reading it. She was very excited.
Okay, I have got it on my. I've got a hold on it at my library now.
Wow, that was quick.
That's how I do things. Thanks, Megan, for that recommendation. I'm sure that I'm gonna love it. That sounds like it's right up my alley. Anyways, so yeah, Snowden did a great thing by giving us the opportunity for informed consent, and he makes a great point in his book, which is that the argument that surveillance without a warrant is okay because you have nothing to hide assumes that there's nothing morally right to hide, and that you'll never be morally justified in hiding something. And that I can think of so many examples where that's not true, particularly with Roe versus Wade being overturned. We live in a time right now where there are a lot of people who are legally endangered if they are in a position where they're not able to have privacy. And that, like you said, you might be safe now. I might be safe now as a white male. But there are people who aren't, and things can change quickly and in ways that we can't predict. So, great book. Nuance is important in opinions. It's good to think and to be, if you have a strong opinion, try to think about your bias and think about the nuanced situations out there. Anyways, back to podcasts, Berkeley.
Well, before we do that, let's talk about the game for a little bit.
Okay, yeah.
So, in order to make a keg, we need 30 wood, easy. We have tons.
Okay.
1 copper bar,
Okay.
easy. 1 iron bar, easy. We have lots of iron. 1 oak resin. I checked. We have sold 1 oak resin. I do not know where it came from, unless it was this tapper here. I don't know if this is an oak tree.
I think it's gotta be.
Okay. So hopefully we'll get an oak resin from that soon, and then I'll be able to make a keg, and then we'll be able to get some wine for the community center. Let me just check on the wiki and make sure that this is an oak tree. The oak trees and the maple trees look so similar during those seasons.
They do.
This looks a lot like an oak tree to me. Man, it's even harder to tell because it's raining. So the colors are off. How do you tell?
You could stick a tapper in it and wait for the resin to come out.
Well, there's already a tapper on it, is the thing.
Well, yeah, I mean, so eventually it'll pop up and then we'll know.
Yeah, if this isn't one though, I'd like to get another tapper up sooner than later.
That's fair.
Okay, now I'm looking at pictures of maple trees.
So maple, if I'm correct, looks like they have larger leaves with a little bit more spacing.
Yeah, so like over here or down here, this is probably a maple. Oh, you can't see me. I don't know who I'm talking to.
I'm on my way.
No, never mind. It's fine.
I'm almost there. Babe, wait.
Well, I actually already got the stuff I need for a tapper, so here's what I'll do. I'll stick a tapper on this one, which is different from the other one.
Okay.
Boom. Now I've got 3 tappers on 3 different types of trees.
Okay.
Which means that we definitely have a tapper on a maple tree. Or, well, we don't care about maple. Oak tree. Okay. Whew, we're on our way. Thank you for going on that journey with me. Sorry I'm so bad at this game.
It was beautiful.
Okay, other podcasts. I am a big fan of Strong Songs.
Yeah.
So I've told you about this one. Have you listened to it?
I haven't yet.
Man. No, just kidding. These recommendations come no strings attached. No guilt here. So Strong Songs, the host of it, he was a jazz musician, and then he was a middle school band teacher, I believe. And now he's a full-time podcaster. He was also a video game journalist for a little bit in the middle of that. He's a really interesting guy. Anyway,
Sounds like it.
His Strong Songs podcast, he picks like a classic famous song and then just totally deconstructs it. He shows you what's going on with every line of music. He tells you about like the historical context. He tells you about like who the producer was and what other things they produced, and like this random drummer that was on 3 tracks of this album but nothing else, and just like knows all this detail, but it's mostly about the music, and he'll recreate each part on different instruments and shows you why the song is so good and what's cool and unique about it. And he covers lots of different genres. He's done The Chain by Fleetwood Mac. He's done This Is Halloween from The Nightmare Before Christmas. He's done music from Hamilton. He's done Weird Al. He's done Pink Floyd. Just so much. So I recommend just scrolling quickly through his list of episodes and picking something that piques your interest.
Yeah, that's
I
a
learned a lot from it.
huge breadth of work. And the cool thing about jazz musicians is that they have to know a ton of theory
Yeah.
to do well. So they can give you a really great analysis of music beyond just, oh, it sounded nice. You know? By the way, I just found a dwarf scroll that we didn't have yet.
Oh, that's incredible. We should take that to Gunther. And then what? Well, I've got so many podcasts I could recommend. I want to give one more, but I need to think about it. I need to start thinking before I open my mouth. That would greatly enhance the stream.
No, you're doing great, man. You're doing great.
I'll leave it with those two. Those are some of my favorites.
Okay.
And choose a choice.
And choose a choice. That one that has the people in it.
The people who are us.
Us people. All right. Well, I've got one bomb left. I've got no stairways available, and I'm searching for the spiral, and I did not plan ahead. So
That's so sad.
I'm gonna have to make some more bombs probably soon.
Well, we had a fair amount of copper and coal in the chest, so feel free to make more.
Okay. Okay, I will go give that dwarf scroll to Gunther. Hopefully I don't miss out on closing time. I did.
You did, yeah.
By 10 minutes. That's the worst.
Ugh.
All right.
That's sad.
I'll dig through your trash then. Be a shame if there's something valuable in it.
Right, I want to do a little informal poll here. So we're at a bit of a plateau with in terms of progress on the community center. There's not much more we can do until summer. Do you prefer watching everything and like having proof that we didn't use tools? Or we've done it once before where we did about a week in game offline, just the two of us with no one watching. Just want to hear opinions. Do you want us to skip through things and get to the exciting stuff again, or is this fine? Going at our leisurely anti-tools pace. If you're watching on YouTube, also feel free to comment and let us know.
That's true.
What's more valuable, the continuity or the exciting content? Obviously, the exciting content is just our opinions on everything, right? That's what I'm here for.
Are we holding on to cheese for any reason?
Nope.
Okay.
Except nutrition.
Cheese. My brother-in-law visited this last weekend, and he made us quesadillas with like grilled peppers and stuff in it, and it was so
Ooh.
good.
Sounds really good.
It's a great experience. Emmett, if you're seeing this, you did a great job.
Okay. Susie's fine with either. Megan doesn't care terribly either way. Can also focus on friending everyone up because I like the characters. Yeah, we've kind of been ignoring that part of this game, huh? Oh my gosh, I just died. I was reading the chat instead of fighting these monsters.
Oh no.
Oh, that's hilarious. Wow. Clint rescued me and he said, I found you unconscious in the mines. I think I blew my back out dragging you all the way up here. How do you think I feel, Clint? I just got killed by monsters because I was busy reading the chat.
I never expected Clint to tell me about how he got his back blown out.
Ooh, I lost 5,000 gold and 4 items from my backpack. Okay, they weren't bad though. White algae, fiber, batwing, and cherry. You can have my 4 items. I don't need them. I got some.
Hey,
Not good.
can I just interject with something not exciting?
Yeah.
So I just found a little graphical glitch. I'm assuming it's a glitch. If you key your defense with your weapon and then
Mhm.
open a chest with weapons in it before the cooldown, when your weapon cools down, it does the sprite animation where it becomes big and then shrinks back down. Every weapon in the chest will do the same thing.
Oh, that's crazy.
So not very fun, but interesting to me.
I'm gonna be honest. Oftentimes, when I play games or like use websites or whatever and see glitches, I can kind of intuit why they're happening
Hmm.
because of my programming experience. In Stardew Valley, I'm often baffled. It's like the the game is really good. There's not a lot of bugs, but the bugs that are there just confuse me.
Yeah.
Like if you name an animal the item ID for like an inventory item, you just get that item ID.
Oh man, we should do that with hardwood.
Uh, we
It's cheating. It's hardcore cheating.
we did cheat one time, but we needed to that time. This one is less necessary. We'll see. If that's the last item, I'm open to it. Can take
Okay.
a poll.
Well, I guess we'll find out.
Okay. Well, I think that's probably it, right?
Yeah, it's that time of day again.
Thank you everyone for joining us. It sounds like people don't have strong opinions, so I guess we'll see how Jared and I are feeling.
Yeah, we'll
Who's gonna
talk
make our
about it.
decisions for us? So stay tuned. Hopefully we'll be making some progress soon. We're pretty close to summer, so
Yeah.
whatever route we go, we'll have some more items soon.
Yep, we're
Um,
4 days away.
yes. In the meantime, follow us on Instagram and YouTube and or Twitch. Links to all those are in the video description if you're on YouTube or in our biography if you're on Twitch. Um, yeah. And is there anything else we're supposed to say? What do we say at the end?
Thanks for hanging out with us. It's always a good time. We love talking with you guys, hearing your thoughts, your opinions, your fun stories, and correcting us about all the lore details we get wrong.
Yes, not just lore, sometimes very important facets of the game.
That's right. So join us again next week. We'll be around. And remember, remember F. Mayor Lewis. Peace. I'm out.
Bye.